Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's your coach of the Atlanta Sobble, actually Among Us, and we're back with another PWD battle. This is week 10, so we only got one more battle in the regular season after this. But of course, we've already clinched our playoff berth, so it'll go at least a little bit longer than that. Today, we are going up against Coach Southside and the Nashville Nidokings. Man, great battle ahead of you, honestly, right here. Another coach that is on the cusp of a playoff spot. They haven't clinched theirs yet. It's still up in the air whether or not they'll make it, but they've got a pretty good shot with their record right now, sitting at 5-4. Mine sitting at 7-2, and in the second seed right now. Although Coach Sosa has already dropped the game in week 10, which gives me the opportunity to take the first seed despite my not so impressive differential. So, as we're getting into the battle, my mindset coming into this one was that there was quite a few ways that Coach Southside could bring his team. His team was very balanced. He had both a very reliable fire, water, grass and a very reliable steel, dragon, fairy core. And he decides, as you're seeing now, to go with the latter of the two with his G-Max Corviknight, his Dragapult, and his Azumarill. But he's also got the Amoonguss in the back, which definitely was one of the most important Pokemon that I was preparing for. I mean, I figured no matter how he composed his team, that Azumarill and Corviknight and Dragapult would be three of the most instrumental things against me. So I expected them to come. But to get back on point, I was talking about my mindset coming into this battle. I do bring some hazard options as far as removal and stealth rocks, but those were mainly for if he were to bring his Shuckle, which he did not. If he wanted to play Hazard War with me, then I would have tried to meet him with that. But if he didn't lead Shuckle, which commonly also carries Encore, would have shut down this plan. I thought that maybe I could either pressure him or possibly even catch him totally off guard if I were to lead with my Blastoise, which is one of my most reliable and heavy hitting Pokemon, but it's not the best in this matchup, admittedly. He actually gets the lead matchup pretty well spot on, and he leads with his Amoonguss, which I'm not going to attempt to set up my Shell Smash in front of because I know it's going to carry Spore. I just go for the Ice Beam for damage, and then we're going to go ahead on the next turn and switch into our Miltank. It is funny to me how this battle played out, because this would have been a great opportunity to run a Sap Sipper Miltank. That would have been amazing in this matchup. I could have obviously even not took the Spore in that case. I didn't want my Hill Bell user to fall asleep, but I knew that this was a pretty expendable Pokemon, and I kind of had brought it as a counter to Alolan Marowak with its Thick Fat ability as opposed to the Sap Sipper. But Sap Sipper would have been great in hindsight in this one, but Marowak was a threatening Pokemon that I thought definitely was a possibility to come. So that's just Pokemon. All six are not always going to be the most important. And with that said, I just use Miltank as a little bit of a support role. I let it tank a crit, which I've been pretty fortunate a lot of times this season for the right Pokemon to get crit, like my walls and stuff, where they can just barely live the crit and still like do their role on the team. This is definitely one of those cases of a little bit of like, it's not, I wouldn't call it good luck because I still got crit, but like the bad luck not affecting me that much, you know, if that's what I'm trying to say. I go to my Emolga here because it's Assault Vest. It can tank anything that Amoonguss tries to do, even as he'll probably put me to sleep. And as predicted, he's going to go ahead and do that. He's going to go for the Spore here after getting flinched, and he'll put me to sleep. But I can tank hits pretty well. I'm trying not to get too ahead of the battle, but you know, I want to talk prep before the things go by a little too quickly. He actually brings a really good tech against my team that I had noticed in prep but wasn't sure if he would. He brings the Spore Hex Amoonguss, which is pretty solid because using Amoonguss to wall Aegislash was definitely a good option for him. I'm not sure if he brought it defensive or especially defensive, but I think he tends to lean more towards the defensive. Still, it would have done, because of his typing, a really good job against my Aegislash, and without the amount of damage that Emolga was able to get off right here, even though it's a regenerator Pokemon, you know, getting this damage off was still huge. Looking forward into the battle because this thing is such a defensive threat. So he gets a really timely switch. You know, Coach Southside plays very well throughout the entirety of this whole battle. He brings his next Pokemon in before I happen to wake up, and so no major loss in like this little bit of chip damage, and he gets a big hit on something that comes in. So I just go to the next most expendable Pokemon, which is Claydol. I have brought Claydol with a little bit of tech for the Corviknight, but as I had said before, you know, I was preparing for a multitude of different setups with this team, being as balanced as it is. I wanted to also be prepared for a Hazard War if he would have brought his Shuckle. And so I brought the Rapid Spin, and his hazard removal, of course, is probably going to be his Corviknight. So I brought the Smackdown Earthquake combination in order to deal big damage to that. But he brings the, he actually ends up taking the pretty free turn to go for a substitute. Interested to see what kind of set he's got on his Bouffalant, because I kind of just expected this to be a good opportunity for Choice Band. Just go for the biggest damage that you could get and just, you know, wall break with it. So once again, I feel like Coach Southside really prepared and brought some interesting ideas to this battle, as well as some good tech. And I can't wait to see his side of the battle, to see some of the full details of these sets. Actually, speaking of which, when I take down the Bouffalant, then comes in the next Pokemon whose set I can't wait to see the full details of. His Dragapult, nicknamed MVP for a good reason, because not only is it a top 3 candidate, I'm pretty sure it's at least a top 3 candidate for MVP in the league. If it's not, it probably is after this game. No spoilers, but Dragapult comes out, hits a Hydro Pump, and just proceeds to start doing work on my team. As a matter of fact, I was so threatened by this thing when I first seen it that I went for Blastoise and immediately started to Shell Smash up. I'm pretty sure that it's because he must have been choiced. He decides to Dynamax here. I was kind of not predicting that play. Like, I was, I guess, just assuming that he would preserve it a little bit more and or use it for Corviknight. But he ends up going for it here, which is a great play by him because this is definitely how he comes to deal with this Blastoise threat. He sets up the Max Lightning, and the Electric Terrain is set up as well. So I Shell Smash, and I'll be able to get big damage on this thing in the next turn. But with him Dynamax, it's just not going to be enough to get the KO. Even if I were to Dynamax, it would have been a big waste. I don't really like to Dynamax when I'm in a bad position. I like to Dynamax to kind of push the momentum and overwhelm my opponent. So I don't like to Dynamax from a bad position. So I wouldn't want to waste it there, and definitely I know I would only get one hit off on the Dragapult and then just have wasted my Dynamax, only got one turn out of it, and set up Hail, which I really didn't want to have set up. So I just let my Blastoise go down after dealing a pretty considerable amount of damage. I could have gone either way on this play, and I definitely plan to review this battle a few times over and think about what my options were. I could have just gone to Aegislash here and click the Shadow Sneak, let it gone down, play around, maybe switch or something from there, but I decide to go another route. And thinking ahead on the fact that this is a Choice Scarf Salazzle, so I know I can outspeed him if he is also Choice Scarf, because he's Dynamax right now. I'm trying to think ahead and decide what is the better play, to go for the Sludge Wave or the Flamethrower. And well, with the most likely counter for this being an Aqua Jet from Azumarill, if I did manage to pick up the kill there, I would have been locked into the correct move to deal with that. He could have gone Amoonguss, but that would have been easier to switch into and that kind of thing. We also obviously ended up not picking up the kill, but we did poison the Dragapult, which, you know, puts it on a timer. And during its last turn of Dynamax, you know, at least Salazzle can say that it did that purpose and used up his last turn of Dynamax. But if you're not keeping count, at this point, Dragapult's got 3 kills against my team. And really, if I were to update the sprites, it would look like this. It would be, first it was Claydol that went down. Then it was Blastoise. We're talking about Dragapult only here. And then, of course, Salazzle and Emolga. But then it finally goes down to Poison. Miltank, of course, also went down early, leaving me just with my Aegislash against his team, which I did take down the one thing. What's that thing I took down? I'm drawing a blank for a second, excuse me. Oh yeah, I took down the Dragapult just a second ago. And I took down the... was it the Buffalant? Yes. So, he goes for the Spore here against my Aegislash, and unfortunately, the Electric Terrain is still up for one more turn from taking down my Blastoise earlier on. So I'm able to get off my Swords Dance with no consequence here, and then I can Iron Head this thing down, and with the damage that I got off earlier with Emolga, it's going to be enough to pick up the kill, no doubt, on Amoonguss. Yeah, it's definitely not a guarantee here, but at this position in the game, I'm looking pretty good. My biggest fear is definitely the Clawitzer. Uh, you know, he's used his Dynamax already, but if I can tank one dark type attack hit in my shield form Dynamax, then I could trigger my Salic Berry and go up +1 speed, and that would be great for me. First, he goes to his Azumarill, which I assume is like basically at this point in the game kind of a sack, because we're just able to Iron Head it down. And yeah, so Azumarill goes down here. No Aqua Jet. I don't know if he was gonna maybe set up the belly drum or what. But no Aqua Jet. My opponent was maybe just sacking the Azumarill there. And well, then he's gonna go into the Clawitzer, which is it the Clawitzer first? Yes. Because like I said, this was one of the biggest threats to. This was the biggest remaining threat to Aegislash with this possibility to send out a Dark Pulse. So we're gonna go ahead and finally, now that we're in the position to really put the pressure on him, we're gonna go ahead, Dynamax here, and even start stacking on boosts before the Corviknight comes in. So we get the Max Knuckle off here. It actually doesn't kill, but like, it's not that big of a deal. As a matter of fact, he ends up going for the Water Pulse instead of the Dark Pulse, taking himself out with his Life Orb, and not triggering, my Salic Berry. So that's just tech didn't quite work out there, but when we're in Dynamax form, we got a much bigger Max Phantasm than the Shadow Sneak, and we're able to pick up the kill on the Corviknight, because Shadow Sneak with base power to 40 was definitely not picking that up. And yeah, that's it. We end up barely coming back on this one. A great game against Southside and the Nashville Nidokings. So that's it for me right now. We're looking great. We should be in the #1 spot heading into the last week. And if we can win our Week 11 matchup against the LA Infernapes, then the Atlanta Sobble will be the #1 seed going into the playoffs. Hopefully that can lead to a great run. I can't wait for the regular season to wrap up and the heated competition of the playoffs to begin. Until then, I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.